Well, maybe we should get started because I know we're tight time and it doesn't look like the numbers are changing dramatically. So maybe we should dive in.
Yeah, okay. That sounds great. Well, my name is Ashley James, and I am the Environmental Health Coordinator for We Act for Environmental Justice.
And hey, everyone, my name is Mike Schade, and I coordinate the Find the Store campaign for Toxic Free Future. Really excited to be here today. A little bit about myself. I've been working on environmental health and toxics issues at the local, state, national level for about 20 years, and really excited for this session to talk about our work with We Act to engage retailers to address harmful chemicals in beauty products marketed to women of color. So thanks so much for joining the session.
Awesome. Well, this session, while we have slides, it is going to be more conversational, not really a lecture based. We'll be asking each other questions, and we'll also have questions via a poll site that we'll ask the audience as well. So our first question is basically, what is the problem with toxic products and why is We Act concerned about it? So, this answer really is jumping off of what we talked about in the opening session. And that's the fact that, there are thousands of different personal care products on the market, and many of them have toxic ingredients. And We Act really does see the problem with toxic products as an environmental justice issue, a beauty justice issue, because like we mentioned in the opening session, a lot of products are promoting a European beauty standard, and they are particularly toxic, and they're promoted towards people of color, in particular women, femme-identifying people of color. And thus, these communities of people are disproportionately exposed to highly toxic products. And so when we think about, like we mentioned, hair relaxers or hair straighteners, as an example, that will chemically straighten hair, they have a myriad of different chemicals in them, including parabens, formaldehyde, phthalates, sodium hydroxide, and have been linked to a lot of different health effects like uterine fibroids, hormone disruptions, and even permanent scalp damage, hair loss, cancers, etc. And then when it comes to skin lighteners, they have a lot of different toxins in them as well. Some examples in particular include mercury and steroids and titanium dioxide. And a lot of different of these skin lighteners, which come in the form of creams, pads, masks, etc., a lot of them have been linked to things like nerve damage, kidney damage, and also mercury poisoning. And then when you think about keratin treatments, these have actually been marketed as a healthier alternative to hair relaxers, but they contain unsafe levels of formaldehyde, and keratin treatments have also been linked to a myriad of different health effects, including rashes, blisters on the scalp, loss of taste and smell, even permanent hair loss, etc. I also, there are also companies that may be targeting Black and Brown communities or communities of color, and it's not necessarily connected to a European beauty standard, but they do target this particular market and they don't disclose the harm of their products. For example, what comes to mind for me is the Johnson & Johnson talc-based baby powder, which we now know is known to be contaminated with asbestos. And Johnson & Johnson intentionally marketed their baby powder towards Black women because they saw them as a high propensity consumer, someone that's going to buy their product and that will spend their money. And so they marketed to Black women and didn't, disclose anything about the potential risk of using it. And now we know that talc-based baby powder is connected to mesothelioma as well as ovarian cancer, and there have been thousands of lawsuits and claims against that company. So overall, just to reiterate, we do see it as an environmental justice issue, and we're particularly interested in working on this issue for the communities that we work with in Northern Manhattan. So,
hey, Ashley, I'm seeing a question in the chat, and I don't know if you know the answer to this. I actually personally don't. So we have a question from Tanisha asking, and hopefully I pronounced your name right there. Apologies if not. The question is about keratin treatments. Do you know whether or not those are the same as protein hair serums, or is that something different?
I'm not sure. I think they are different, but I haven't looked into, what the ingredients in some of these protein treatments are. So I'm not sure how close they are. That's a good question, and something that, if you would like to contact me, and my contact information is at the end of the presentation, I'll definitely try to look into that because I'm curious too.
Yeah, and if anyone else, that's here in the session that knows the answer, feel free to chime in the chat there.
Yeah. So this is our first poll that we have, just to get into the conversation about products. We want to know what products you use on a regular basis, and you can scan the QR code on the screen or go to slido.com and put in this number code, and you can put in multiple answers. Seeing some come in. Deodorant, pomade, styling cream. Hair oil, leave-in conditioner. All right. Is anyone having trouble using the poll? Sunscreen, vitamin E oil, hair oil, pomade, lotion, shampoo. These are great.
And one of the things that I find interesting about this is that a number of these products are often fragranced. If you think about the conditioner, the shampoo, the deodorant, face oil, even sunscreen, many of these products often contain fragrance ingredients, and that can be a source of chemicals of concern. Many of you may have heard about how fragrance ingredients are usually not publicly disclosed. There's usually no way to know what's in a fragrance unless it's tested. And sadly, many fragrance ingredients, many times fragrance contains phthalates, which are endocrine or hormone disrupting chemicals, which can be hazardous at pretty low levels of exposure. And they've been linked to a range of health problems, including birth defects in baby boys, infertility. They've also been linked to asthma. They've been linked to some learning and developmental disabilities. So that's a number of these products that are fragrance can be a source of exposure to phthalates. And I know that there's been studies that have been done that have found that women of color have higher levels of certain phthalates, which seem to be associated with beauty and personal care products that women of color use. So that's one example of a class of chemicals that are commonly found in many of these products that we're talking about here.
Yeah, and it looks like we got everyone to participate. Thank you. More are coming. Lotion and shampoo are our biggest ones, but definitely seeing lots of a variety of things. And I'm curious if you all can use the reaction to show of hands, how many of you are currently aware of the different chemicals that are in these products? Okay, I see some hands. I see 2 hands, but oh, 4. That's actually a good amount. Yeah, since we have about 10 people in here. 5 hands. So yeah, so roughly maybe over half of us in here are knowledgeable about some of the chemicals in our products that we use on a daily basis, and that's really great. The Mind the Store campaign is kind of dedicated to getting retailers to stop using products that have harmful chemicals in them. Mike, could you actually tell us more about the Mind the Store campaign and why you're particularly focused on retailers?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is kind of, the frame of today's conversation is to think about, what role can retailers play to address this critical issue of beauty justice, environmental racism. As some of you may know, hazardous chemicals are hiding in everyday consumer products all around us, from beauty and personal care products, plastics, electronics. And unfortunately, there's a growing body of evidence that has found that chemical exposure is contributing to serious diseases in our communities, diseases like cancer, infertility, asthma. Unfortunately, the federal government has been asleep at the wheel when it comes to protecting US residents, American families, immigrants and others from exposure to harmful chemicals. And so with the lack of leadership from the federal government currently, hopefully that'll change, we think that retailers have a fundamental moral responsibility to ensure that the products that they sell are safe, that they're not exposing us as consumers to hazardous chemicals. So when we, go to Target or Walmart and buy, say, hair straightener, relaxer, or skin lightening cream, that we're not inadvertently going to be exposed to a chemical that can put us at increased risk of developing a disease or health problem at some point in our lifetime or the lifetime of our children or even grandkids. When we launched the campaign years ago, our founder, he came up with this motto, with great market power comes great responsibility. So these huge companies like Walmart and Target and Amazon, we think that their market power and influence can be leveraged to drive positive change, especially with the lack of leadership from the feds. So we launched the campaign back in 2013 to call on the nation's biggest retailers to step up and safeguard our health, to protect us, not only consumers, but also the communities and the workers where products are made and disposed of. When a company like Walmart says jump, 9 times out of 10, their suppliers will say how high. So we're really working to leverage that market power and clout that large retailers have to drive harmful chemicals like phthalates and parabens and formaldehyde releasers, mercury, and some of the other ones we've been talking about this afternoon out of products. When we launched the campaign 8 years ago, back in 2013, we started by focusing on the top 10 US retailers by sales. And today we've expanded the campaign. We're now engaging 50 major retailers who have over 200,000 stores across the US and Canada. And we think that that clout can really be leveraged to drive positive change in the marketplace. We've had success. Since we launched the campaign, we've won commitments from big home improvement chains to derived phthalates out of vinyl flooring. We've won commitments from furniture retailers to ban toxic flame retardants in furniture. And just in the last 2 years, we've been working on PFAS in food packaging, and we've gotten big grocery store chains and fast food giants, companies like McDonald's and Wendy's and Taco Bell, to commit to phasing out and banning PFAS in food packaging. And we're not only pressing these companies to take action on specific chemicals or classes of chemicals, but really to move towards more comprehensive systemic solutions, moving away from the chemical of the month approach, but developing more comprehensive, safer chemical policies that are rooted in precaution and prevention. So we're really excited. We've had a lot of positive impact since we launched the campaign. You know, these companies can not only get the bad chemicals out, you know, like the ones we're talking about, but at the same time, they can also help drive innovation. They can help spark the development of new green chemistry solutions today, because by saying, hey, we don't want, you know, X chemical in the products that we sell, that can help encourage suppliers to innovate and develop the green new solutions of tomorrow. And it's also worth noting, we've been talking also about policy change. Retailers can also, when they step up, when they say, hey, we're going to ban this chemical, you know, we're going to ban bisphenol A in baby bottles, or we're going to ban PFAS in food packaging, that can also help make it more politically palatable for policy change at the local and state and national level. Because when legislators see that, hey, these big companies are stepping up and moving, that can make it more politically palatable for legislative and regulatory action. And so we're really excited to work with WeAct to partner to leverage the relationships we've developed with these retailers and leverage our advocacy power to press companies to address beauty products marketed to women of color. So over the last year or so, we've developed this partnership with WeAct, really to think about how can we work together to address this critical issue of environmental injustice. So I want to ask you, you know, Ashley, if you could talk a little bit more about, you know, what is the Beauty Inside and Out campaign about? You know, what are you guys looking to achieve, and what is it that you really want to see major retailers of beauty products and manufacturers to do?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So essentially, the Beauty Inside Out campaign is designed to raise awareness around toxic products for girls, women, and other femme-identifying people, specifically in Northern Manhattan, where WeAct is based. And a major aspect of our campaign is a survey. So the survey that we saw some preliminary results from in our opening session, that was the adult version of it. And we are also currently still collecting responses for the youth version of our survey. And the survey will really be a powerful tool to help us achieve the goals of the campaign, which are to educate the community members around toxic products and to, you know, work with retailers to sell healthier and safer products. And that is where our connection with the Mind the Store campaign comes from. We agree that we really think that it's important for retailers to make an effort and make the choice to not sell products that are harmful to their customers, and, you know, to be committed to selling safer and healthier products. And so the third aspect that we really think the survey results are going to help with, not only to encourage retailers to stop selling and phase out harmful products, but also to promote legislation that's going to regulate products better and make sure that we have safer products on the market. For example, like the Safe Cosmetics and Personal Care Act of 2019. So, yeah. Talking about retailers, we are curious to know where you all purchase most of your personal care items from, your beauty products, cosmetics, etc. So we have another Slido poll. There are a lot of different options and you can choose more than one. So I'll give us a few minutes to do the poll, and then Mike will discuss a little more about what we're seeing with your results.
One of the things I really like about this tool is that as folks submit their responses, it actually changes it in real time, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting that a lot of people are saying other.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if anyone wants to say what the other is.
Or can we unmute folks? I don't know how.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if anyone wants to put in the chat or unmute yourself and say if you selected other, what the where else you get your products from.
Hi, I selected other. I'm Alicia. I'm a postdoc at Silent Spring Institute. I selected other because I purchase things from beauty supply stores, but they aren't necessarily mom and pop beauty supply stores. It'll be like a beauty supplier or whatever as an option. Because I will go to beauty ones that aren't Sally's Beauty, but they also may be like a big brand store. But then also I also get beauty products from like the seller directly. So for instance, like Fenty, or I may also go to it's passing me right now, the name of the place where I get the natural hair products and body products from, but I'll typically buy from the retailers.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, thank you for that. Because I definitely didn't think about it. A lot of people do, just if they have a like myself, I have certain brands I like, I'll just go directly to their website and order it. So
also, I want to add that I clicked other as well because TJ Maxx usually sells those same projects for like half the price, and it's cheaper in my budget.
Thank you for sharing that. That's also good to know.
I'm curious, does anyone else on the line get beauty products from TJ Maxx?
I think I see a hand. Yes, we see one hand. Oh, sorry. Did not mean to do that. All right. Well, it looks like most of us on here have submitted to the poll. So thank you for your participation. Mike, are any of these stores that you have worked with or that are relevant to the retail report card?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked. It's interesting because we, through the campaign over the last few years, and in some cases over the last 8 years, we've been engaging many of these companies in the campaign. Some of them we meet with all the time. Like Target, for example, we just met with them a couple of weeks ago. I met with CVS, Sephora, Amazon, all of those in the last month. So I think it's really great to see. I think it's sort of kind of confirms our theory of change in many ways, because these are retailers of beauty products, and these are companies that we've been working to engage on this issue in particular to address chemicals of concern in beauty products marketed to women of color. And it's interesting to see that Target is at the top, because actually Target, and I'll talk about this in a second, Target has started screening their beauty products for chemicals of concern, beauty products marketed to women of color. So, with the campaign, we've been using this annual retail report card over the last 5 years to press companies to improve. So it's an annual scorecard that benchmarks leaders and laggards to see which retailers are leading and which retailers are lagging when it comes to comprehensively addressing the safety of chemicals in the products that they sell. You know, just like in school, no one wants to get a bad grade, right? No one wants to get a letter grade of D or an F or a C. And we, on an annual basis over the last 5 years, we've been publicly ranking and putting out a report that profiles which companies are doing a pretty good job and which companies are doing a very poor job in addressing the chemical safety of their products. And what we're doing is by highlighting the leaders, calling out the laggards, it's helping to create a sense of competition among the retailers, and it's driven them to improve. The first year we put out the scorecard, we evaluated 11 major retailers, and within the first year of doing that, 7 out of 11 of those 11 retailers announced, less than 1 year, 7 out of 11 announced new policies or initiatives to address chemicals in their supply chain. And over the last 5 years, year over year, we continue to see how this has helped to drive companies to improve. For example, between our 4th and 5th scorecard, the last one just came out this past March, about 70% of the retailers we evaluated did something meaningful to address chemical safety in their supply chain, like adopting a new corporate chemical policy or setting new restrictions on hazardous chemicals. And so we've had a lot of success in leveraging the report card to press companies to improve. And one of the things we did this past year in partnership and consultation with WEACT is to add, we have about a dozen criteria in the scorecard. You can visit it at retailreportcard.com. And one of the things we did is we added new criteria asking retailers, what are they doing to address chemicals of concern in beauty products marketed to women of color? And I'm pleased to share that in response to that, for the first time, Target and Rite Aid pledged to begin addressing chemicals of concern in beauty products marketed to women of color. Both of them pledged to begin screening their products to get a better sense of which beauty products marketed to women of color contain hazardous chemicals. So the report card has already helped prompt 2 major retailers to begin addressing this issue. And we're beginning to work on our 6th annual scorecard, which will be coming out next year. And we're hopeful that by grading companies on this issue, by putting out this public report, which you can find at retailreportcard.com, that will help motivate companies to improve in the year ahead and more retailers stepping up. So check out the website, retailreportcard.com, to find out how your favorite retailers rank on toxic chemicals. And we hope, again, in the year ahead, working with WEACT, we can use this tool to press more companies to improve.
Awesome. That sounds, like a really amazing tool and something that has clearly already led to some change. So thank you for sharing that with us. All right. So now that we've had, the bulk of our discussion, we wanted to kind of have this as our last discussion point and with this poll, and just curious as to, after everything we've talked about, who you all think should be the main person or the main entity to take responsibility for product safety. There's no right answer. We're just wanted to preface that. So I'll give us a few moments and then we'll discuss.
And again, feel free to, folks can type more than one response into the Slido. Oh, Ashley, I think you might be on mute.
Oh my goodness. So I guess it's popping up that we've run out of time in the session, which is unfortunate. So quickly, I am going to go to the end of our presentation just with our contact information. I'm happy to send out, there'll be a recap, and I'm happy to also send out information to our participants that we didn't get to cover in the last few slides. But here's our contact information. Please feel free to contact us